this is Marina from Darkstar Astrology, bringing you the new moon solar eclipse that will take place on Boxing Day, December the 26th at 4 degrees of Capricorn. So now this is quite interesting because it does trigger the Jupiter Trine Uranus. So we'll look at that later on. The healing crystal is Smoky Quartz. The fixed star is Caus Mendus in the constellation of Sagittarius, and the tarot card for this decan is the Two of Pentacles. So the star that it falls closest to then is Caus Medius, not Mendius, which is found in the vein of the archer's bow. However, the notorious nebula Facies is also conjunct the south node. So now I wouldn't normally look at the fixed star on the nodes for a normal moon report, but since the nodes are what turns an ordinary new moon into an eclipse, we really shouldn't ignore Facies on the south node here. So now reboot solar eclipses can be used for powerful sorcery. And with Facies, the potential for merciless elimination behaviour could be high. Jupiter will only inflame the ruthlessness further. And these days, the word fascist has become way overused as a slur, almost to the extent that it's become meaningless, while at the same time, it's still one of those extremely triggering words. Oh yes, I forgot to mention that this eclipse is actually conjunct Jupiter. That's why it's going to trigger Jupiter Trine Uranus. So yes, anything conjunct Jupiter is going to exaggerate things as well. So let's look at Facies then. So the similarity with the name Facies and fascist is too uncanny to ignore. When I look at the people that have their moon here, there are some quite prime fascistic types born within this decan. So the moon in Capricorn 1 natives include Adolf Hitler, Joseph Goebbels, Marine Le Pen, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who has had death threats. Now, if you don't know who Ayaan Hirsi Ali is, she's Somalian and she went to America escaping persecution there from very fundamental Islamists. And she's kind of been accused sometimes of being a neocon as well, because she's very much on the neocon side, which I suppose you could, sometimes they're called fascists. And Melania Trump has this too, and she's obviously being called a fascist. And also Mark Chapman, who was John Lennon's killer, he has his moon here. So it's to do with assassination as well, because Faces is really focused on someone. It's like the it's the stare of the archer who is trying to aim his shot. Also, the actual death of John Lennon had Faces, moon on Faces as well. So there's definitely a theme of assassination here. And this can be character assassination as well. Now, if you look at the values of Capricorn Decan 1, they're actually also pretty similar to the fascist mindset as well, whether you like it or not. But the word fascist is tainted by World War II, but its true definition is actually not really that sinister. Still, its badass reputation fits splendidly since Capricorn Decan 1 is used to being the black sheep of the family. The moon here often has to dish out tough love, and for this it's never thanked until far into the future. By that time, the goat has moved many mountains away, but it does not care much for fawning appreciation anyway. So fascism arises as of a national emergency, where things have got so bad that a strongly authoritarian leader is necessary to rein in the chaos. But it is interesting that Bernadette Brady says that Facies can be both humanitarian or the sadist. So at this solar eclipse, the energy then is actually quite the perfect parent for the job when the children of the state are causing anarchy. Now, this is the actual definition of fascismo. It's an Italian term and it comes from fascio, meaning a bundle of rods. So this is what wiki say. Fascism rejects assertions that violence is automatically negative in nature and views political violence, war and imperialism as a means that can achieve national rejuvenation. Now this is interesting because there's been a lot of violence from I mean, it's not really all from the right. The antifa, the anti-fascists, they're the ones that have been causing the most violence, really. And that quote really kind of applies for them. That, it's a way of achieving national rejuvenation. So, who's the fascist here? So, with the bundle of rods, this suggests strength through unity, as a single rod is easily broken, but a bunch is really hard to stop. The moon generally signifies the family unit as well, and a strong family is also hard for the state to dominate. So this decade is all about family loyalty then, and its utmost importance, and by extension, so is tribal loyalty, whether it be to the nation or group that wants to promote its self-interest. The moon by itself does not have any dignity here at all, so it really does depend on the cooperation of others to succeed. So this eclipse is all about working together for a long-term goal. And also it's interesting because, this is a winter eclipse, so harsh northern winters breed those of tough stock and who know that a solo man will surely starve. Family unity is a strength just like the bundle of rods. So, this is the reason why, nationalism is always attacked, because it is. I've gone on about this before, and don't yell at me if you think nationalism is some kind of awful fascist thing, but it's all part of energies. It's all part of natural law, and things have got to the point. If things have got to this point where everyone's very divided and people are getting tribal again, and people are sort of picking their tribes, and it doesn't really have to be divided along ethnic lines either. There are religious tribes, there are people who are joining on to the whole kind of ecological tribe, with the Extinction Rebellion, and people who are on the sort of Brexiteers tribe, or there's Remainers, the Remainer tribe, remaining in Europe tribe. So, the thing is, though, what people are doing now is like, if you are from the other side, there's no way you're going to get together with someone who's of the opposite tribe. You're just not. Because it is about finding who you share the same values with. And that's fine. It's fine. It's only when people start having a go at you for, they may like your work, say, they like my astrology, but sometimes I'll get accused for being totally biased in favour of my tribe, I suppose. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean an ethnic tribe. It's just basically I'm for family values and natural law. So it's very interesting, but there are also allies that you can form as well. And I'm I have allies even in groups that I wouldn't necessarily agree with totally, like feminists, like Muslims as well, because they have a point about certain things. I think we see eye to eye on liberal sexual education in schools, for example. So there are overlaps, and so we need to find the overlaps more than anything, because it's, at the end of the day, it is divide and conquer. And I had quite a nice conversation, another Uber cab conversation about divide and conquer, about Uber losing their license in London because the taxi drivers are mainly white and they don't like competition, and they're trying to divide all and I don't know. Anyway, so that was his view. But anyway, that's what I mean. The tribal thing is very, very marked with this eclipse, as you can see, and we're in a very, very pivotal point in history where the West is going through a really strange time, shall we say, and we have, by the time this eclipse happens, it will be, hang on, where is it? It will be after our general election, won't it? Yep, it will, 10 days later. And they are starting in America to campaign for the 2020 election, aren't they? So 2020 is going to be Well, yeah. Well, I'll talk about that in my next video. I think I'm going to do the Saturn conjunct Pluto, because that is big. So not only have we got that sort of Saturnian energy with that as well, and that kind of authoritarian fascist kind of energy, that's what it is. And now we've also got a very fascistic eclipse as well. But let's look at the positive sides of these stars as well. So Caus Medius. So Robson says that those born on the lunar day will be honourable, handsome, happy, religious, fond of large animals or elephants, and will be soldiers and wrestlers. Wrestling large animals, maybe. Anyway, with the moon here at birth, the native will be obedient, polite, popular, grateful, and have many friends. So it sounds like a kind of positive place for it to be, if you like large animals as well. All the stars in, so that's the end of the quote, all the stars in constellation Sagittarius are generally fortunate though. It's only when we get to Facies that things get difficult again, and that's only because Facies is in a nebula. So now this is another quote from The Living Stars. This is Eric Morse. He says, naturally, there's a positive side to Facies. It symbolises, well, that's kind of Sagittarian who goes out to climb mountains, race cars, enters the ski jump team or the Grand National Steeplechase, making it right to the top and no doubt breaking a few bones along the way. On the more philosophical side, it will mark those who must see their outlook and beliefs carried to practical effort somewhere, so that they go out on missions, set up their own churches and centres, engage in good works of famine and refugee relief, and so on. Inevitably, they get hurt at times, but perhaps find compensation in the value of their works. So it is very much a kind of missionary type of energy, people, just trying to help the disadvantaged. And I guess also fascists or antifa, they all think they're doing something honourable, really. They're fighting against oppression. So, no one's doing this to be nasty, I don't think. It's just a bit misguided, I guess, at some points when it goes too far. Because it can go too far. That's the thing. It's like a hyper-focus. So a bit of focus is good, but overly focusing on the goal without actually seeing who you're treading on to get there is a bad thing. So the tarot card associated with this decan is the Two of Pentacles. So the man in the Two of Pentacles needs to find balance and moderation in his life too. So that's the thing, all the kind of hyper focus. This is the good antidote for that. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. If he allows no time for relaxation or fun, he's liable to become tired and tense, and he may find his mood fluctuates like the waves behind him, up one day and down the next. So that's Teach Me Tarot. So materialism and matter is important to this decan, but also the cycle of time. This is where their prophetic ability comes from, the innate knowledge of natural law. So yeah, I do like this decan. I do think it's a weird mix of very ruthless kind of energy, but also it is kind of tough love as well. So Teach Me Tarot go on to say, one pentacle is higher than the other and surrounding them is a figure of 8 loop, the infinity symbol. And you get that on the Magician star as well, tarot card. All energy is recycled, whether it is good or bad, for energy is simply energy and cannot be destroyed. What goes round comes round. And that's Teach Me Tarot again. That's what I said earlier on as well, that it's just energy. The thing is with fascism, it's energy, and communism is a kind of energy. This is one thing I still haven't done that political compass test and the astrology behind it, where I think, how it works. But yeah, it means that basically left or right, none of them are wrong. None of them are wrong. It's just the way that, it's just the left and the right. It's just the balance. back to this, like focus star faces, this card demonstrates being absorbed in one's work and keeping your eye on the ball. That's really what it's about. Now, Bernadette Brady seems to be the most damning about fixed star faces. So she says it represents the penetrating stare of a lethal weapon. It's one of the most difficult and possibly the most violent object in the heavens. It gives a penetration of action that has no regard for others. Faces in a chart will indicate that the planet it touches will be very focused and driven. The push to achieve goals and aims may well become ruthless. So again, because it's on the South Node, this is past life karma of over focus, of hyper focus, and ruthlessness in general. Whichever groups have been practicing this ruthlessness, I think it's sort of going to backfire and come back to them, maybe, because in a way, I don't know, do we have to fight ruthlessness with ruthlessness? I don't know. Anyway, she also gives the meaning for faces with the node, actually. So this is interesting. It says that it means to be seen, to be working against injustice or corruption, to work against the abuse of power, an advocate for minority rights, a time when society is changed by a single act. Wow. So, I mean, it feels to me like someone will hit the bullseye with this one. So what is this single act? I don't know. There's a lot of, is it the election? Is it something in America? Is there going to be some kind of assassination? I don't know. So I'm sorry about this. This is so mad. I'm just looking at my Moon conjunct or quincunx Jupiter post, and I called this one fertility. And then I had Baby Olympics as like the sort of meaning for it. And it looks like, yes, because Adolf Hitler had this as well. So this is twice he's been mentioned, and I don't want to. I don't want it to be kind of focused on this sort of fascist energy, really, but it just keeps coming up. So yeah, listen to this. Moon conjunct Jupiter, true pioneers enjoy telling tales about their travels. The worst side of this aspect can be an overzealous attitude to spirituality. Those abandoned by their mothers will often be attracted to religious cults who then become a substitute family. Others may experience their mother as quite a religious fanatic, but jump from one form of supernatural control to another. Now, doesn't that just fit with Adolf Hitler? So I've written more about this. And you can read about it on the post. But some other people with Moon conjunct Jupiter are George W. Bush, the Antichrist, weirdly, Nicholas Copernicus, Leonardo da Vinci, and Mitt Romney. So, yeah, I mean, the reason I called it Baby Olympics was because I just thought this really went with Moon conjunct Jupiter really well. So, yes, so for Hitler, the motherland of Germany was held as sacred, so all threats to its survival had to be exorcised. Hitler never married or had children, saying that he was married to Germany. As a narcissistic parent then, Hitler's golden children were his German Aryan people. Hitler gave financial incentives for Germans to have more babies, and I didn't know this, or this is what I found out during the research, each married couple were loaned 1,000 marks and allowed to keep 250 for each child they had. And parents of more than 6 children paid no income tax. So that's totally Moon Jupiter. And motherhood medals were even introduced. And you got a gold one for 7 children. Wow. So also the eugenics program can also be considered very descriptive of Moon conjunct Jupiter, as it's a breeding, which is the moon, in order to create superhumans, gods, which is Jupiter. So I don't know, is there a secret eugenics plan going on under the surface? But you know what? In my opinion, I think it's dysgenics that they're doing, if anything, because that way people are easier to control. You know, if people are getting dumber, they're easily controlled by the use of mobile phones, screens, TV entertainment, entertainment and bad food. As long as you've got like a kind of virtual reality on your screen, you can forget about your shitty world outside your window. If you don't have a community outside your window, then you've got soap operas you can vicariously, enjoy the sense of community spirit. Like, I used to watch EastEnders, which is a British soap, when I used to have a TV license, because it was just like having a local, it was like going to the local pub, because that's what it was centered around, the pub. So the gossip you get from, small village sort of goings on is satiated by watching EastEnders. What's old Dot Cotton doing this week? And, isn't it terrible about her son? And, he's on heroin now. It's like, so that was a kind of community substitute. And I'm sure, I don't know if soaps are that popular anymore. Now it's more like reality talent shows, which is more to do with narcissism. But yeah, they used to be such a big deal. And then I stopped watching it because it didn't apply to me at all. I just thought, I don't know these people. and then it started to be more of a kind of program to get us to accept things like, oh God, I think they had some trans characters and anyway, yeah. So God, how did I get onto EastEnders? So yes, it's programming, wasn't it? And that's it. Dysgenics. So getting people to be happy with just having a few beers and pretending you're in the pub with people in EastEnders, which is sad, really. I guess for men it must be things like football. So that's a sense of community and tribal identity as well, because that's the only thing you're allowed to be tribal about, actually, is football, isn't it? So and you can have a bit of violence there if you want, a bit of a punch up, so that gets their aggression out too. So anyway, so the Jupiter trine Uranus, so this will only be exact once, and it will be on December the 15th. So wow, is that the day before the election? Or is it the day of the election? Hang on. Oh no, it's the election's on the 12th, but it's pretty close, isn't it? So now this is a really nice aspect because it is a natural exuberance, zest for life, attracts luck and positive energy constantly, thrives on change, novelty and new inventions. Natural visionaries, inventors, can make impossible dreams come true. So this is really nice. The sheer faith in future rainbows keeps us focused on doing whatever it takes to get us to the pot of gold. So now this is what we need on this eclipse that has such edginess with the fascist energy, with Facies. So it's whatever you want can happen. So if you focus on a utopia, again, this is... Well, here we go. Wait a minute. It also says the negative side can be overly idealistic vision of their utopia, which does not allow for failure, nature's imperfections, or any concept that messes up their grand symmetry. So it is perfectionist, and it is very much about geometry and sacred geometry. So yeah, I picked a picture by a guy that actually has this aspect. MC Isha. He has Jupiter sextile Uranus, but it's a similar energy. So I thought this really fitted it well, like two chameleons inside this kind of geometric shape. And so you've got trines and sextiles there. So it is very... I think it may be a nice kind of mix of the traditional approach and then also visionary futuristic approaches, because Demetra George, my favourite astrologer, she has this, and she has this in her chart. So she brings traditional astrology up to date, and she uses ancient Hellenistic techniques alongside the modern archetypal approach. And she works with a lot of mythology as well. She uses tons of asteroids also. So yeah, it's a nice mix of the ancient, which is Jupiter, and Uranus, which is the future. So that is also, I think that fits very well with the Two of Pentacles, because we're sort of trying to balance the past with the future. And it just seems that there are some people just focused on the future and nothing to do with the past. And the nodes are to do with this as well. Like, I used to think that the nodes were like, oh, the South node is really negative and the North node is totally positive, and we have to avoid the South node and move towards the North node. But it's not entirely the case, because you need to bring some of the past with you to the future. You have to learn by your mistakes, and you need to, that's why it's important to study the past, and it's important to study history and to see that things really do kind of repeat themselves. So we're on a kind of like spiral of evolution, really. So it's interesting that it's Jupiter on the South node, because that is like, Jupiter is like the ancient history. And I think it's also to do with the Atlantean kind of consciousness and how overuse of technology really mess things up. And becoming more plastic is just, we're losing our humanity. And looking at everything on a screen is we're becoming very 2D. And I also realised today, I hadn't been going out for my walks. I just got so much into my work that I just thought, oh, it's all right, I can just go on the trampoline a bit and, get my exercise that way, on the exercise bike. But that way you're indoors. And then I thought, oh, well, we're not really getting any decent sunlight anyway now. And then I read that UVB, which is the summer sun, that's the one that makes vitamin D. Okay, you're not getting that in the winter where I am anyway. But UVA, which it still comes through no matter what, even on a cloudy day. And it's that on the skin that is connected with longevity. Somehow, I don't know, I can't remember what he said, but it's something to do that it makes some kind of enzyme or something on the skin. Someone might know about this, but anyway, it's really, really important to have UVA on your skin. And you can actually get it through windows. You can get that through glass. It's only UVB that doesn't penetrate through glass. So you can't get vitamin D through glass, but you can get UVA, and it is important. So, people that live in basements, they actually really do suffer. So you need to get out. Otherwise you die. it really is important. So again, if you're someone who works in an office, or you do, if you think you're getting nature through your TV screen or something like that, then no, actual going outside is so important. So I thought the picture for the solar eclipse by J Swofford, it's one of his more light-hearted ones and lovely ones. This is what actually drew me to using him. The guy, it just really expresses his decan so well. And he's up in the sky, and it's very green, and he's up there with the stars also. So the Picatrix says, the first face of Capricorn is a man with a reed in his right hand and a hoopy bird, I think it's pronounced like that, in his left hand. This is a face of happiness, joy, and bringing things to the end that are sluggish, weak, and proceeding poorly. So, I do think this is a very important reboot, and we really are flushing out crap and really focusing on what we want and being very discerning. So to help exorcise those solar eclipse demons and focus in the dark, make the gods work for you by immersing yourself in Capricorn 1 decan energy. So if your ascendant, sun or moon are in the cardinal signs, decan 1, you might find it especially hard to relax at this solar eclipse. So be ruthless in your pursuit of grounding, chill out time. So try focused meditation or yoga with a Capricorn decan 1 theme. So some useful healing materials and props are the Two of Pentacles to gaze at, beetroot to eat, black poppy to adorn your table, Smoky Quartz crystal to hold, music in the key of D to listen to, patchouli, desert sage, and lavender essential oils in a bath. So Smoky Quartz, according to the Crystal Bible, is one of the most efficient grounding and anchoring stones, gently neutralizing negative vibrations. Smoky Quartz blocks geopathic stress and assists elimination and detoxification on all levels, teaches you how to leave behind anything that no longer serves you, relieves fear, lifts depression, alleviates suicidal tendencies, and it's excellent for treating radiation-related illness or chemotherapy as well, which is very much a Pluto-Saturn thing as well, which is also the conjunction of this eclipse also in the background. Energy Muse say that when it comes to reaching a higher state of consciousness, the Smoky Quartz crystal is your stepping stone to vibrating at your full potential, because it works to release negative emotions like jealousy, fear, and anger. Smoky Quartz is a grounding stone known for its ability to help you move on from painful memories of the past. It is a fine line between holding a grudge and self-preservation. But when you meditate with the stone, it guides you to a higher state of being, a place where you can let go of the past so that it makes you better, not bitter. So it's pretty good. So yeah, definitely fits very well with this eclipse. So the summary then. Now, so this astrology that we have in the sky, everything considered, I think will give us the opportunity to see how we deal with authority in our lives. Do we rebel against it as a knee-jerk reaction, or see the value in Saturnian protection? After all, when faced with criminal behaviour, you are grateful for the option to call the police. When does authority become too authoritarian? Now, at this time, this eclipse should help us redress the balance. But what if those you elect as your representatives do not protect your neighbourhood, but work against you? What if those in power are working to destroy you? In the US, you have the right to bear arms, like the constellation Sagittarius's bow and arrow. Lucky you. Now, at the solar eclipse, we may see gun law issues raised, or some red flag event that brings up the Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. Now, it may not happen at the actual eclipse, but remember the solar eclipse will last 6 months. So I expect to see much more attempts to bring in more gun control. And you see, we've got that kind of utopian energy as well, where it's like, oh, it'll all be a perfect world and there'll be no gun crime, and you know, that's how it will be marketed as. But in our personal lives, this is not the most romantic moon, but it's a very useful and practical one. You can use it to focus on what you really want, bin all the distractions so that you can clearly see the path ahead. It will work best by a process of elimination. So throw away anything you have not used in 5 years, have a big clear out, delete files, delete annoying people, and detox your life. You can also use these fasci rods in a positive way. Actually, I was just thinking he's also holding a reed as well, so that's a little rod. It's very rod. Well, think of it as a magic wand actually as well. So yeah, you can use them in a positive way, band together with your actual family or spiritual family, and you are stronger. Fasci in Latin means a bundle, so that can be a bunch of flowers just as much as the scary looking bunch of rods round an axe. Find people who can be your Capricorn rock to lean on rather than the negative fascist dictator. So will you use the solar eclipse to be the humanitarian or the sadist? Or does it have to be such an extreme polarity? So-called humanitarianism, unfortunately, has been used to cover up more sinister agendas as well. So in the wider world, as in our personal lives, we must guard against being emotionally manipulated into taking action against our own family's interests, enslaving us further under globalist authoritarian control. So that was all kind of pre-written, that bit. Now, I don't know if there's time for a rant, because I think I sort of did little bits and bobs of rant in between this one. So I think I'm going to get on and do the Saturn conjunct Pluto, because that's the energy in the background of this solar eclipse, and it's very, very important. So at the eclipse, they will be conjunct, they'll be 2 degrees apart, so they're pretty close. What are they on? Yeah, they're on Salafat. God, Pluto's exactly on Salafat. So Salafat is in the constellation of Vega, and Vega is it's the lyra, it's the harp, but it's also got a vulture as part of it as well. It's kind of like holding the harp. So this is a very sort of blood is thicker than water, tribal kind of energy as well. So yeah, whatever way you look at it, populism is there, and we have to talk about it. People have to talk about why it's happening and not sweep it under the carpet or just call people names. You know, it's a genuine concern. Otherwise, it's like being gaslighted. Yeah, and talking about gaslighting, when did it suddenly happen that people started calling Christmas holidays? It's not holidays, it's Christmas. And this actually happens in LA on the 25th of December, which is Christmas Day. And I still believe we call it Christmas Day, don't we? So happy Christmas, or at least Yuletide, because the 21st is the winter solstice and it's the Yuletide as well. I know it's not Yuletide in Australia, sorry about that, but it is still Christmas there, I think, last time I looked. And so yeah, holidays, it doesn't make sense to me. Holidays is too sunny. It's going to the beach, that's what holidays means. But happy Yuletide, and this is really the Christmas eclipse, isn't it? So yeah, maybe it was good that I spoke about fascism and wrong speak and Christmas being banned. You know, we still have Father Christmas, I noticed. They don't want to get rid of him. He's too much of a cash cow, isn't he? So yeah. So I'm on a bit of a protest for this holidays thing. And when people say happy holidays to me, I do get a bit annoyed. So don't say happy holidays to me. At least say Yuletide, okay? I don't mind if it's not Christmas, but just honour the season. All right then. All the best. Bye-bye.